Hey everyone, Axel Fireflurry here. Before you guys get distracted about me wearing the same hoodie, I'm recording this the same day as my last video. That being said, on to the important stuff. Heavy spoiler warning. If you have not seen Disney's Encanto, click off the video. Go watch something else. If you feel so inclined, go watch something of mine. But don't watch this video if you haven't seen Encanto and you don't want spoilers. And if you feel safe enough to go to movie theaters to go see Encanto, I highly recommend seeing it. If you feel like you really want to spend like the 30 some odd dollars to rent it on Disney Plus, I'd say wait for it to just be part of a normal subscription if you have Disney Plus, but if you want to spend the 30, do it. Point is, don't watch this video if you haven't seen the movie. Because again, spoilers, listen to the mouse on the thumbnail. The mouse knows everything. That being said, let's talk about Bruno. So, for those of you who have stuck around for this video because you've seen it, we all know that Bruno's gift from the miracle candle is he can see the future with cool sound effects. And as we know, he has that entire song about how we just don't talk about Bruno, about how all of his visions are bad and evil, and how everyone basically hates him until Mirabel kind of saves everybody and brings Bruno back into the family and shows them that they can all be together again. And I was thinking, I saw this movie Christmas Eve, and probably one of my favorite movies. But what got me thinking, because I've heard the song "We Don't Talk About Bruno" at least 100 times before I had actually seen the movie. It's just a really good song. and when I saw the movie and we see Bruno's bedroom and how unique it is in comparison to the other bedrooms that we see in the house, it got me thinking that that's probably for more of a reason than we originally think. So let's break down the room piece by piece, and I'm going to explain like my theories about it and why it helps create sort of this negative image everyone has about Bruno until the end of the movie. So from the door into the bedroom, from the rest of the house to the sand wall, we see that it's very dark, very gloomy. Nothing's really going on, and all you really have is like this dark, poorly lit room, and you see the sand wall just falling down. And so, at least for me, we're gonna back up a little bit before we go. No, we're gonna keep going. We're not even gonna edit that part out. So, for me, if I were coming to get my future predicted by Bruno and I walk into the house, if it's so warm, so vibrant, so welcoming, to go into this tower where it's a really dark room and you see just this falling sand and it kind of sounds like there's just no end, I would already be terrified because I'm going to get my future predicted. I don't know what I'm going to be told. I don't know if it's going to be good. And it's just, there's already a lot of anxiety. So to enter this really small room where there's really nothing in there, there's no light, it's just a complete contrast to the rest of the house. My anxiety and my fears would already go to like 11. And so you kind of have to take this leap of faith into the sand wall and kind of hope that you don't die. And that brings us to the next part of the room, where it's this long, seemingly never-ending set of stairs. I mean, obviously you do get to an end, but from what we see in the movie and how Mirabel reacts to walking up those flights of stairs, it creates sort of like this. It's a really massive room, and you have to take a lot of time. So I would assume it would take, I would say, at least a couple of hours to get up the stairs. And so you now have this anxiety from the dark room, the anxiety of having your future being predicted and still not knowing what you're going to see, And now you have this added weight that you traveled a really long time up a flight of stairs in this just sand filled room, and there's really no noise going on, but any noise that you make and maybe the soft falling sand in the background. So there's nothing to give you really any sort of comfort. So you're kind of just trapped in this really awkward silence for a very long time. Like, again, like if we were to assume that it would take like 2 hours to get up the flights of stairs with little to no sound, it would seem like a lifetime. And so you finally get to the top of the stairs to only have to cross this bridge. And the bridge is sort of like, all right, fine, I already did it, but I don't know about you, but I'm kind of uncomfortable about heights, and the bridge kind of looked rickety even before it like had collapsed after Bruno had left. And so, okay, I might fall to my death again because I just spent 2 hours climbing up. I don't know if anyone has gone on a 2 hour hike, but if you look over the edge after you're 2 hours just going up, and look down, it's good chances you're not going to make it, even if you fall on sand. I'm not a physicist, but I feel like the fall would kind of be deadly. And so at this point, at least for me, I would be not only, my anxiety and my fears would be up to like 16 at this point, but at this point, I would also simultaneously be thinking, I better be getting something good out of this. Like, somebody, like Bruno had better tell me that I am getting, like, super rich, gonna marry a hottie, I'm going to advance in my career work. Like, something good. Like, after, everything that you've gone through just to get to his prediction room, I would want something good at that point. Like, even more. Like, I don't know anyone who would go in to get their fortunes told to hope that something weird or bad would happen, but early on it would be more of like kind of exciting but kind of nervous. But after doing all the work again, like, you would be like, I better be getting something good out of this. And then we don't really see all of his predictions, or we don't really get to hear about all of his predictions in the movie. So I'm sure he's given out more than just the one good prediction that he gives to Isabella. But now you have all these people who have come all this way to get their fortune told. They're now in the fortune telling room. It's really big, it's really dark, it's really ominous green for those of us who grew up on Disney or really many cartoons. Green is a very sickly, very toxic color that you can see in artwork. And so it's very, very ominous, very evil. We've kind of painted it that way, which is kind of weird because it's a Christmas color. But you're in the big moments, this really dark room, and you have Bruno, who kind of already is sort of the oddball of the family, and now you get this prediction. And if it's one thing that I have experienced with people who predict the future, and stuff like that, either with like tarot cards, or I'm not going to get into the metaphysical nonsense. I don't want to say nonsense. The metaphysical world in this video. We're here to talk about Bruno. But if it's one thing I've learned about predicting the future, is it's never really set in stone. It's more of a, this is what's more than likely going to happen, but there's still a possibility of something different happening because the future is always changing. And so you've come all this way, and now you get like this really, you get this bad prediction. And because a lot of people are mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted by the time they get to this room and get something horrible, like let's break down the song. Pepe, his sister, she thinks that he's predicting that there's going to be a thunderstorm, and because they see Bruno's predictions as an absolute, she becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and with her powers of controlling the weather, she gets a hurricane, she gets a storm for her wedding, and now it's Bruno's fault. Bruno's the reason we had this storm. not because she read too deep into it or thought of it as an absolute and not just a possibility. And Bruno even says near the end of the movie, he's like, "No, that wasn't a prediction. I just saw that you were nervous because it's your wedding day." Anyone who's been married before knows that it's a very nervous day. Like, what if something goes wrong? What if the person you plan on marrying decides that they don't want to marry you? Like, there's 100 different fears that you have, and I could imagine being in the Madrigal family where everyone has such high expectations of you and where everything has to be perfect. I could just imagine your wedding day fears being from like here for like a normal person to like up here if you have Madrigal, because everything has to be perfect according to Abue Alma. And so we move on to the woman who had her fish. Fish typically don't live that long. I've had fish before, and despite taking the absolute best care, some of them only last a few months, maybe a couple of years, and we just don't know when she bought the fish. So maybe she's not completely familiar about this species of fish, or maybe the fish was older than she initially thought, but maybe the fish was on its way out anyway. But because Bruno says, "Hey, your fish is going to die," so maybe that's more of a maybe take it to a vet, or take better care of it, or get ready for the inevitability that your fish is going to die. It's not even really a prediction, because everything that lives eventually dies. And so again, you now have this, oh, he predicted that my fish would die. Next day, dead. Okay, he's building up a bit of a track record. The guy who grew a gut, maybe he just stopped taking care of his body, started eating a little bit unhealthier, like maybe 100 different things. But maybe Bruno predicted that, okay, maybe you're gonna like get into this point where you're not gonna take as much care of yourself. Maybe like go to the gym a little bit more, maybe eat a little bit healthier, work out a little bit more, something. Just like, this is what's going to happen with your current course. So a lot of typical reasons that people gain weight is either through medications. I know some people gain a little bit of weight after they get married, just because they're not eating for one, so they're not really, so they're eating more. They're eating more meals. Anyway, just a lot of different things. And so it's now Bruno's fault that this guy got a bunch of gained a bit of a gut. And now the last one that I'm going to talk about, at least in the video, that has nothing to do with the family, is Pepe's Bruno's sister, by the way, but she doesn't count. Anyway, the priest talks about how he's going to lose his hair. Maybe it's a genetic thing in the priest family that men get, receive male pattern baldness or something, maybe some form of sickness. We don't know, but because Bruno created this, but because Bruno saw that this was happening or going to happen or possibly going to happen, the priest, I'm actually really surprised that a priest would go to a fortune teller or even anyone with magical abilities, period. I would assume that he would have nothing but pretty dark opinions on the family, but that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about Bruno and his powers. But the priest goes bald, and so it's now Bruno's fault because Bruno said it was going to happen. The only good prediction that Bruno makes that we kind of experience that we can't really interpret as being bad is when he predicts that Isabella's powers were going to thrive. And again, because we've all seen the movie, we better have if we're on this video. It's after Mirabelle, tries to save the miracle, save the family because she wants everyone to be happy. It's when Isabella is finally able to do roughly whatever she wants with her powers instead of only having to produce perfect flowers, roses, daffodil, all the really pretty romantic ones. But now she's allowed to create Venus flytraps. She's allowed to make cacti. She's allowed to do more. She's allowed to let her gift flourish and thrive like a grape on the vine. Another prediction that is kind of negative. Isabella is a niece of Bruno. We're now transitioning into the family. We should all know this. We're all in the same movie, but I can't remember the name of the cousin who can hear everything, and I feel really bad because it's a good movie and I saw it recently. But the cousin of Isabella and Mirabel, she is in love with Isabella's at the time fiance, and the prediction was true. It came true because the Isabella's fiance was supposed to marry Isabella. The I can't even remember his name, and I feel really bad, but it came true. But because the prediction was that the man of her dreams was going to be betrothed to another, I'm happy to see that she has an opportunity to have a relationship with the boyfriend, because as we all saw in the movie, the engagement fell through because Mirabel saw Bruno's prediction. But again, this is Bruno's fault. Bruno's the reason I can't be with the man that I love until the end of the movie. And now the big prediction, the big plot of the movie prediction was Bruno's prediction for Mirabel given to Abue. For those of you who are curious as to why I don't say abuelita, it's just what I'm used to. I have a friend who speaks Spanish and he refers to his mother when talking to his child that, oh, we're going to Abue's house instead of abuelita's. But that's neither here nor there. But just wanted to clarify that for reasons unknown. But that Mirabel was going to be what destroyed the house, and Abue Alma saw this as, oh, she's going to ruin my miracle, she's going to ruin my family, she's going to ruin everything. So that's sort of what kind of causes the tensions, what I would believe would cause the extreme, like, grip that she has over her family, because I mean, she was given safety, she was given this miracle, and she wants to protect it at all costs, but now she has her own granddaughter who has been denied a gift, which was really weird and unheard of, so she didn't really know what to do. But then to find out that, oh, everything that I've worked hard to build is going to come crumbling down because of my granddaughter, and I can't imagine that being a very comfortable position to be in, like, really, ever. I would imagine that'd be very, very stressful. And so it's now, again, Bruno's fault, because Bruno predicted all these terrible things, and now Bruno has predicted the end of the miracle. To quote Abue Alma, it's Bruno's fault. Bruno does not love this family. And that is a really intense thing, because it is a mother telling her child, that her own son, that he is part of the reason why their family is having problems. Like, he's the reason that the miracle is dying. He and Mirabel, her son and granddaughter, they do not love the family, and that they're practically just not really welcome, that they are a hindrance, they are a disease on the family tree, and that is actually really heartbreaking. But I was really happy to see that she came around at the end, and Bruno. I love Bruno. I resonate a lot with him. I'm really not gonna get too deep into it, but I have experienced a lot of what Bruno experienced in the film with my own family, and despite the ill feelings they may have towards me and I kind of have towards them, like, I still wish them happiness and success, because at the end of the day, they are my family. And Bruno's probably one of my favorite characters in the movie. Camilo being my second. We're not making a video, but it was really, I was really proud of him for like confronting his mother near the end of the movie and saying, "Hey, this isn't Mirabelle's fault. If you want to get mad at somebody for taking away the miracle and for destroying the house, like blame me. I'm the one who gave you the vision. I am the one who saw the future. Be mad at me because he loves his family and loves Mirabelle so much that he's willing to be ostracized again." And Bruno's an amazing character because he's living in the house within the walls, and so spending who knows how many years hearing his entire family just talk nothing but crap about him for years, and still willing to make that sort of a lunge for his family is just phenomenal. And going back to the bedroom, I think the reason the bedroom created itself like that was sort of to protect Bruno and the person who is receiving the prediction. To protect Bruno because he's going to people are going to hate him if he predicts something bad. He's going to be abused, verbally, emotionally, mentally. He's going, like, people are going to hate him if people do not receive what they hope or what they want to hear, which is a very, very real thing that a lot of us experience in life. And I feel like the room protects the person going into receiving this prediction, because it's sort of like, hey, is this, like, do you really want to do all this work? Like, I feel like a lot of people in reality would, like, just say, forget it, I don't need to know that bad, and it would give the recipient or the would-be recipient peace of mind and the ability to create their own path, their own future, as opposed to having this individual say, hey, this is what I see, and then feeling like they have absolutely no say in what the future holds. That they have no say, they have no control over their lives, that their lives are practically pre-predicted and meaningless, that there's no reason to make a decision. And going back to protecting Bruno, I feel like if somebody did get a good prediction, that they would keep going regularly, to keep getting more good predictions, and sort of creating, again, this self-fulfilling prophecy and just this lack of agency and lack of freedom, because they would want to do everything in their power to make sure that that prediction comes to life. Maybe not do everything within their power, but sort of just controls their lives. I said I wasn't going to get into the metaphysical world, but I feel like I really should at this point, because I feel like I should, like, I don't want to say expose, but sort of, it's something a lot of people who don't really believe in that already kind of know. But for example, tarot card readers, they will always tell you a bunch of stuff that you want to hear, but they'll always throw in a little bit of, oh, here's something kind of bad that I see, but don't worry. And so let's say I'm going in for prediction on a future relationship, and they say, oh, I see, generic people of various hair colors, like, oh, this is like where I see, like, meeting somebody, like, giving you very generic, like, oh, somebody at, like, the store, or somebody at, like, a social gathering that you regularly go to. And for the vulnerable or for the gullible, they'll go and they're like, oh my gosh, the psychic was right. I did go to a store. I did buy fruit. And so now that they've gone to a store and bought fruit, or gone to a social gathering and met a brunette, because brunettes are very common, especially where I live, then I will go back to that psychic. And I'm going to get another prediction about another aspect of my life. And they're going to give me advice on what to do, as opposed to any good psychic. Because let's admit, there are a lot of people who will abuse, the metaphysical world to make a few dollars. But we'll make another prediction. The client goes out, it does something that will, kind of make that prediction true, a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they're like, oh my gosh, the psychic was right again. And so they keep going, and so they lose control over their life. They now have to rely on a psychic. They have to rely on the astrological signs. I think the astrological signs, the people who believe those are probably like the most easily controlled, for lack of a better way, because it's sort of a, like, for example, I'm an Aquarius, and like maybe I get a prediction one day that says, okay, Aquarius, don't talk to Cancers, they're going to be really bad. I have a lot of really good friends that are Cancers, and if a newspaper tells me that because I'm an Aquarius I can't talk to Cancers, and I am no longer friends with these Cancers because a newspaper told me, then I now lose out on amazing friends that I've known for a few years, and I'm now miserable because I don't have those friends. And so how this ties into Bruno is it prevents people from abusing Bruno's power. It allows Bruno the ability to breathe and just kind of live his life. Now, unfortunately, he doesn't really get to do that because he mostly shows sort of these warning signs and not really absolutes, and people take them again as facts and have painted him in this really poor light and why he is ostracized. But that's why I think his room created itself as it is. That's my talk about Bruno. Got a little sidetracked a couple of times, but we got there at the end. If there's another character in that show or another show that you want me to talk about, guys, let me know. I'm always willing to try new things, and I will see you guys in the next video.